In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. The leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. We never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can. We're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show on K98 Talk. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening. It is so good to finally be back with you. First, let me start the new year off apologizing. I should have been with you last week, but due to purely 110% my fault, I actually lost track of my days being on an extended vacation. And it's before the normal show time last week. I was still a day away from having my show put together, thinking I had another day to put my show together. So, we had a little bit longer vacation than expected. But anyway, glad you're here. Glad I'm here. Tonight, we're going to kick off 2016. We're going to do a little, for anybody that's my age out there, or close to it, you might remember this show that used to come on TV called Heart to Heart. Great little husband-wife detective show, cutesy type stuff. But it was primetime TV back in the 80s. But tonight, what we're going to do is a little fraud to fraud instead of heart to heart. So in order to do this, first we have to expose one of the two frauds that I'm going to highlight. And this is not a political fraud like the second fraud we're going to discuss, but I have to give you some background on fraud number one so that we can get it together with the whole thing on fraud number two. So anyway, if you've ever seen Man vs. Wild, the television program Man vs. Wild, you have seen the host Bear Grylls. You've probably, if you watch the show, spent a considerable amount of time in somewhat of a state of disbelief. I mean, after all, he accomplishes feats like escaping a tiger shark attack, eating the biggest maggot you've ever seen, building some kind of, complicated raft out of bamboo leaves, and, basically just surviving in truly dire situations, all the while having a lively sense of humor and a natural ability for delivering lighthearted commentary as he performs these magnificent feats. Now, to counter that disbelief, Mr. Grylls, and by the way, if Bear Grylls is his real name, then I am the world's only 6'3" leprechaun, and there is actually a better chance of our president, Barack Obama, being a Christian than there is of this man's name actually being Bear Grylls. But Mr. Grylls makes a statement at the start of each show stating that he undertakes his adventures carrying only a flint stone, a knife, and maybe some water, and that the camera crew following his journey through the wilderness would not aid him in any way. And for television's sake, that's all well and good. But now, enter Mark Weinert, who served as a consultant on the show. And Weinert says, if you really believe everything happens the way it's shown on TV, you're being quite a bit naive. You see, according to Weinert, while filming in California's Sierra Nevada mountains, an episode in which Grylls is seen biting the head off a snake for breakfast, Grylls actually spends several of the nights with the show's crew in a lodge outfitted with nothing but the bare necessities for living, things like flat-screen TVs, stone fireplaces, hot tubs, and internet access. You see, you can look up this place online. It is called the Pines Resort at Bass Lake. It's advertised as a quote-unquote cozy getaway for families and is a luxurious hotel with its own spa on the lake. Now, in another episode where Grylls was supposed to be surviving on a desert island, he was actually in Hawaii and staying with the camera crew at a posh local hotel. Now, this same episode had Mr. Grylls miraculously building this Polynesian-style raft using only the materials found in nature around him, including bamboo, hibiscus twine, and palm leaves for a sail. Now, according to Weinert, the former consultant on the show, Grylls was actually working with a team of builders to make the raft off camera, and it was then taken apart carefully in pieces so that it could appear Grylls building it on his own while on camera. Now, Mr. Grylls has sold his show with gusto as being exactly what the title implies: Man versus Wild. Mr. Grylls, when asked about whether the camera crew impacts your actions while in a hostile environment, replied that they are, quote, under very strict instructions not to get involved or help. Now, the Discovery Channel, which carries this program, has acknowledged some quote-unquote misleading storytelling and interventions by advisors like Mr. Weinert, but said that these only happened when there were quote-unquote health and safety concerns. But they stand behind their host 100% and vowed that the program will be 100% transparent, and that is a quote. But it's hard to imagine how Discovery Channel can follow through on that guarantee without undermining the basic conceit of Man vs. Wild. I mean, viewers can relate to a guy who puts his cargo pants on one leg at a time like the rest of us, but will they accept breaks at luxury hotels? The episodes already in the can will have to be interrupted for disclaimers or labeled at the outset with a disclaimer like based on true events, or the host could restrict himself to less risky assignments that he can genuinely handle without help. But to tie this into tonight's program, who better for the biggest fraud to ever occupy elected office in the history of the United States of America, Barack Obama, to join an Alaskan adventure with television fraud, Bear Grylls? If something like this was ever going to happen, it would have to be one fraud with another. So as it is, the Today Show took an exclusive look at our nation's chief executive taking on what they called a bear. Isn't that cute how they did a play on words? But they didn't capitalize bear. They tried to make it look like he was taking on a grizzly bear. And we all know that from the video and the still photos of Obama's intensive workout with the 5-pound dumbbells a couple years ago, that he is certainly a bear wrestler, right? So Obama says, this has got to be one of the best days of my presidency, while he was filming Running Wild with Bear Grylls in Alaska back in September. Obama says, first of all, I'm not in the office. And second of all, I'm not in a suit. Now, this episode was shot while the president paid a 3-day visit to Alaska. And how fitting is this? To highlight and observe the impact of quote-unquote climate change, or as those of us of the conservative ilk call it, weather, on the wilderness of the 49th state. So we have one fraud joining another fraud to get together and perpetuate the fraud of climate change. See how that works? It's just too smooth to not be planned that way. So Obama said that his primary reasons for trying to control weather or curb climate change, is his actual words, are his 2 daughters and their future children. He said, quote, I want to make sure this is there for them, not just for us. Maybe he should consider his words more carefully, as the trip to Alaska on Air Force One spewed approximately 16 metric tons of CO2 into the atmosphere each way. That's 32 metric tons of CO2 for those scoring at home. Obama said he was prepared for his trek with Grylls, but not necessarily for what the adventurer might make the 2 for lunch. Obama said he had seen some of the stuff that Bear eats on the shows, and he said it's got to be something that doesn't still have its legs and eyes on it. I want it to not be too recognizable, Obama said. Luckily for the president, it was a piece of salmon, which I happen to like. Unfortunately, it was a bloody carcass of salmon that had been picked over by a grizzly bear and left behind on the bank of a river. Grills explained, after receiving word from, I'm sure, one of his advisors, that bears will often eat the fattiest part of the fish, like the eggs, the skin, and even the brain, and leave the meat behind. Yet the president called the fish, once roasted over the fire, tasty. And although he admitted it would have been nice if we had a cracker to go with it. So anyway, overall, the experience wasn't as bad as Obama expected. He said Bear's a mediocre cook, but the fact that we ate something recognizable was encouraging. Now, the fact that he told me this was a leftover fish from a bear, I don't know if that was necessary. He could have just left that out. The president also revealed what he and Grills have in common, if you can get this, their names. As president, he said, I'm what's called the bubble. And Secret Service makes sure that I'm always out of danger, which I very much appreciate. And we're going to touch on that comment a little later, too, because we're going to come back to that. He says it can be a little confining, though. Every once in a while, if I do something unexpected, the phrase we use is, quote, the bear is loose. So to be with bear in the woods, it doesn't get any better than that. So the bear is loose with bear in the woods. Isn't that cute? What a freaking moron. So while filming this episode, of course, Obama took a selfie with Grills and shared it on his official Instagram account. You know, it is what it isn't in this case. We know climate change / weather is a fraud. We now know that Bear Grylls' Star of Man vs. Wild is a fraud. And we've all known for quite some time that Barack Hussein Obama is indeed a fraud. So with all this fraud coming together in one place, isn't it funny how the DOJ is nowhere to be found? Just something to think about. All right, so moving on. Monday, the Obama administration, via his channeling of teary-eyed John Boehner at the White House garden, released his executive actions aimed at reducing gun control or reducing gun violence and promoting gun control, and making political headway on one of the most frustrating policy areas of Obama's tenure. Ooh. So the package, which Obama announced, includes 10 separate provisions. One key provision would require more gun sellers, especially those who do business on the internet and at gun shows, to be licensed, and would force them to conduct background checks on potential buyers. Now, if you've looked at these executive orders carefully, or this executive order in the 10 separate provisions carefully, you know what I'm talking about here. Basically, he's going to make it harder for individuals to sell more than one or two guns at a time, is what it boils down to. Now, granted, I'm sure that it's probably a pretty small number that it affects, but there are some really stupid provisions in this. And we're going to cover one or two of these things. One that really has me perturbed, and not because it affects me, but I know it's going to affect people, and these people that it's going to affect are already going to be in a state of hardship. And that is people that lose their jobs that have a firearms collection and want to sell it to make money to sustain them until they can find employment again. He is going to require that these people purchase an FFL for $150 to do this. This is ridiculous. These people are freshly unemployed, and he's going to impose basically a government fee of $150 on them to sell things that they already own, that they've already paid taxes on, so that they can continue to sustain themselves and possibly a family, if need be. What the hell kind of good comes from it? The people that are in these kinds of positions are not the people that are out there selling their guns on the Homeboy shopping network at the corner of MLK and Main Street for $50 a pop with scraping the serial numbers off of it. That's not how that works. Now, we're gonna move on for a minute, and we're going to talk about the $500 million in federal funds for treating mental illness, a move that could require congressional approval and likely should, and requires that firearms lost in transit between a manufacturer and a seller be reported to federal authorities. Okay, I don't have a problem with lost firearms in transit being reported. That doesn't hinder anybody's ability to own a weapon, so I don't have a problem with that. At the president's direction, the FBI will begin hiring more than 230 additional examiners and other personnel to help process new background checks 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, for those of you that don't know, when the last round of expanded background checks was passed into law, and forgive me for not having done my research on exactly when that was, but I believe it was 1994. It's been a little while. There were hundreds upon hundreds of additional agents hired that were supposed to be for processing background checks 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So where in the hell did those people go that we now need to hire more people to run 24/7 background checks? Why are we throwing bad money behind more bad money? So also, ATF has established a new investigation center to keep track of illegal gun trafficking online, and devote $4 million in additional personnel to enhance the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, otherwise known as NIBIN. Now, let's just back up for a second. They're going to keep track of illegal gun trafficking online and will devote $4 million to additional personnel to enhance NIBIN. So I was unaware that it was so obvious that illegal gun sales were happening online that we need to have hundreds of more people and millions of more dollars to keep track of it. If you want to talk about illegal gun trafficking that needs to be tracked, let's back up a few years to the Fast and Furious situation. How about that, Mr. President? Why don't you call Eric Holder's sorry ass back in so you two can get a photo op holding the gun that killed Brian Terry? You are an idiot, sir. Obama says the gun lobby may be holding Congress hostage, but they can't hold America hostage. We can't accept this carnage in our communities. You know what the problem is, Mr. Obama, is the real carnage is only happening in your community of Chicago and maybe Detroit. That's where the real carnage is. The rest of these isolated incidents are just that. They are isolated. It is in the areas that have very strict gun control laws that we're seeing all these mass shootings and mass murders and gun violence issues, as you like to refer to them. Now, Obama said in a Twitter message Monday evening, that's what he said in a Twitter message referring to the National Rifle Association. So the president was scheduled to talk about his policies in the East Room on Tuesday, and 2 days later, which would be tomorrow night, now you're going to love this, tomorrow night, he's scheduled to participate. He's going to participate, not host, but he's participating in a town hall at George Mason University that will be televised on CNN. Now, before anybody gets excited and thinks, oh, I should really watch that, think twice. This is going to be a hand-picked, anti-gun, pro-Obama crowd. And they're going to have a couple of people planted to ask questions that are made to look like these are really staunch 2A supporters, and they're going to throw questions at Obama that have been carefully hand-selected and screened to tilt a certain direction and tilt towards a very specific answer. You'll be able to see this. Just tune in and watch. You can tell me I'm right Thursday night after it's over or Friday morning after you wake up and think about it some more. But I'm telling you now, this whole thing at George Mason is going to be a huge staged production. And it's going to have nothing to do with respecting Second Amendment rights or people that are in favor of Second Amendment rights and people that are in favor of the government not infringing on Second Amendment rights. This is going to have everything to do with feel-good politics, which is all these executive orders amount to. Basically, he has accomplished nothing but signing an executive order that says we need to follow the laws that are already in place. Now, even before Obama's official announcement, Republicans in Congress and on the campaign trail blasted his actions, and some gun rights advocates threatened to challenge them in court. Now, House Speaker Paul Ryan issued a statement on Monday saying that even without knowing the plan's details, he thinks the president is at minimum subverting the legislative branch and potentially overturning its will. This is a dangerous level of executive overreach, and the country will not stand for it. Let's stop right there. Paul Ryan, let me first start off by please saying, would you shut the hell up? Don't come on strong talking about the president's overreaching actions and him subverting the legislative branch and how the country's not going to stand for this after you sold the country right down the river with the omnibus spending bill and then turn around and challenge the president like you have a spine or a pear on Obamacare and on these executive orders on the Second Amendment and his push towards gun control. It doesn't wash, sir. I don't care if you are capable of growing a beard on your face. You still look like little Eddie Munster with a furry jawline and chin. And you have absolutely no right, and you haven't the spine to stand up and challenge this weak president, which makes you just as weak, if not weaker. So shut your pie hole unless you're really wanting to put your money where your mouth is. and I don't see that happening. Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley of Iowa said Monday that he and his colleagues would be taking a deep look at the president's proposals with an eye towards ensuring that the Second Amendment is preserved. Although modest compared with any legislation that Congress could adopt, Obama's executive actions will affect areas such as how the federal government might leverage its purchasing power to advance safe gun technology, which is a topic for another story, but that is something we definitely need to go into one night, as well as what information federal and local law enforcement will share on individuals who are illegally trying to purchase weapons. Mr. Producer, please go ahead and cut in for a second. I missed that last message. Can you go ahead and just relay that to me? Maybe not. Okay, maybe not. Gotcha. Okay. So the president, who went over initiatives in the Oval Office Monday with administration officials, including the lawless Attorney General, pardon me, yeah, including Attorney General Loretta Lynch and FBI Director James Comey, said inaction by Congress in the wake of several high-profile mass shootings and other gun-related violence justified his decision. Now, we're about to hit the bottom of the hour, so it's about time to pay the bills with a commercial break. We're going to hold off on the rest of this piece, and we're going to finish it up when we come back. So do yourself a favor. While the commercials are on, keep listening. Run and get your drink, your snack, whatever you need. Get your butt back in your chair, and we're going to be back in about 2 minutes or so.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of conservative conservatism.
Where no one is safe and no one is spared. Not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Has to do with
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, easy and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again. Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
All right. Welcome back. You're on the Conservative Curmudgeon Show. And if you've been listening for the first half hour, you know we've been talking about the frauds, Barack Obama, Bear Grylls, and climate change, all three frauds, and what they all had in common. And we have delved now into Obama's next area of fraud, which is his overreach into your Second Amendment rights. And we're going to continue discussing that overreach here in just a quick second. But first off, if you've got something on your mind that you want to talk with me or anybody else out there listening about, feel free to give us a call at 408-681-8255. That's 408-681-8255. And before we left on the commercial break, I was telling you about Obama's meeting with the lawless Obama meeting with the lawless Attorney General about how he wants to use his lawless executive orders to infringe upon law-abiding citizens' Second Amendment rights. And he dragged FBI Director James Comey, who I actually believe to be a good and decent man. I have seen enough of Comey in interviews and some of the documentaries that have been done on the FBI since he took over already to really think that he is a pretty solid guy. I don't think he necessarily cares who the president is. He takes his job very seriously, I believe. And I hope I'm right. And his statements about the Hillary Clinton situation make me think more and more that he is that person. Because if you haven't heard, FBI Director Comey has said that he doesn't care where the evidence leads. He's going to follow the evidence, and if prosecution is in order, then that is exactly what he intends to do. He doesn't care who it is. Pretty stonesy comment, but we'll see where it goes. A lot of the rumors are saying 60 days before charges are filed, give or take. So we shall see. But anyway, Obama had this big meeting with all these people in his administration, and he comes out and he says, although it is my strong belief that for us to get our complete arm around the problem, Congress needs to act. What I asked my team to do is to see what more we could do to strengthen our enforcement to curb illegal gun sales. Now, this is what Obama said to the reporters after his meeting on Monday. He says, and the good news is that these are not only recommendations that are well within my legal authority and the executive branch, but they're also ones that the overwhelming majority of the American people, including gun owners, support and believe in. Excuse me. This guy is full of more stuff than a Thanksgiving turkey. So one of the new provisions, or one of the main provisions, is the new federal guidance requiring some occasional gun sellers to get licenses from the ATF and conduct background checks on potential buyers. Rather than set a single threshold for what triggers this licensing requirement, it will be based on a mix of business activities, such as whether the seller processes credit cards, rents tables at gun shows, and has formal business cards. Because, business cards are a huge investment in the market, right? Because nobody can afford to go online to Vistaprint and get 500 cards for $10. So in some cases, officials said, a person who sells a single gun could be required to get a license, though in other cases, sellers who are classified as hobbyists or collectors could, not will, but could qualify for exemptions. A recent survey, here we go. This is going to be great. A recent survey of more than 2,000 gun owners by Harvard University researchers found that of those who purchased their most recent firearms, about 1/3 did not undergo a background check. My ass. Okay? Unless they specifically sought out, which this article does not specify who they sought, but unless they actually sought out 2,000 gun owners whose most recent purchase was from an individual, then I'm calling BS on the whole thing. First of all, Harvard University researchers are notoriously anti-gun. You can find so many anti-gun polls and studies that Harvard University has done that you could stop up the giant cesspool of the whole damn District of Columbia with all that paper. So in a conference call with reporters, the Lawless Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, said the administration could not estimate how many more people would be affected by the new licensing provisions. She said gun sales are increasingly moving online and into largely unregulated areas of the quote-unquote dark web, where illicit activities take place in hidden transactions. Ooh, I wonder if this is anything like dark Twitter. What a freaking idiot. Okay? The only thing that's going on in areas of the dark web are stupid things. Criminals are not dumb enough to just go online and operate lawlessly thinking they're not going to be found out. I'm sorry, Attorney General Lynch. They are smarter than you. Okay? Look, what the administration describes as the dark web is just a bigger version of dark Twitter, where dark little minds go to do dark little things and laugh amongst themselves because nobody else finds the crap amusing. Now, the industry is shifting and growing, Attorney General said. If it does stop one act of violence, this will be worth it. Okay, let's stop here. Because in Obama's speech, as he channeled John Boehner and mustered up that tear that he wiped away with his middle finger, pushing it towards the camera as if to say, F you, America, he mentioned if it would save one child's life. Let me tell you what would save more than one child's life, Mr. President. How about defunding Planned Parenthood? How about those 350,000 lives a year? How about saving those lives? And it's a lot cheaper than having to spend money, because you would actually pull money back, about $500 million taxpayer dollars a year. You could pull back and save 350,000 lives of innocent children that don't get a say-so. Some other aspects of the president's plan aims to bolster the FBI's background check system, including a push by the U.S. Digital Service to modernize its processing operations, and a proposal to add 200 new ATF agents and investigators to bolster the enforcement. We touched on that earlier. Obama will instruct federal agencies, which collectively represent the nation's largest firearms purchaser, to explore potential ways to promote technology that would prevent the accidental discharge or unauthorized use of a gun, according to White House officials. Now, if you would like, sir, an opinion on the best way to prevent the accidental discharge or unauthorized use of a gun, keep them out of the hands of Democrats. Holy crap. Really? Are you kidding me? Look at all these freaking psychotics that have shot up theaters or shot up schools or anything like that. They're all freaking liberals. They all have liberal manifestos. They are all Obama supporters. They are all Obama voters. They love Hillary. They love Muslims that come into our country and shoot up our military bases and public health buildings at Christmas parties and things of that nature. They're tolerant of those people that want to do violence to Americans, because that's what the liberals want to do, is do violence to people that are different than them. Another measure will require federally licensed gun dealers to report any lost and stolen guns to the National Crime Information Center. I think this is great. I know there's already a law in place that covers this, so I don't really have a problem with it, other than the fact that it's repetition. It's nothing but feel-good politics, just like 99% of this 10-piece executive order. Over the past 5 years, according to the White House, an average of 1,333 guns recovered in criminal investigations were traced back to a seller who claimed the weapon was missing but did not report it to authorities. Okay, what they are not telling you is that out of those 1,333, about 1,330 of them are criminals who weren't going to report it because they stole it to begin with. Ta-da! See, they don't bother telling you that part of it, though. Now, don't get me wrong. There are stupid people out there that will pass a background check and buy weapons legally and have it stolen and be too stupid to report it. These people should not be allowed to own firearms any longer. And I don't say that lightly. Let me tell you something. If you're passing a background check and you don't report a stolen gun, you're as good as straw purchasing. You're no better than the sorry-ass liberals that are shooting up our cities across this country. This is a broad set of actions, and it tackles a variety of issues related to gun violence. So they say. And in combination, it represents a comprehensive effort to strengthen the laws we already have on the books. Oh, thank God somebody said it. Who said that? Arcady Journey, a senior fellow at the liberal think tank Center of American Progress. At least he admitted it, that it's to strengthen laws we already have on the books. Only it's not really going to strengthen anything, because a law is a law. There's no such thing as a weak law and a strong law. A law is a law is a law. If you break it, you are prosecuted. That's how it's supposed to work. Follow the laws. Mr. Obama, if you're worried about laws on the books that aren't being enforced, sir, I have plenty that I could show you that you could really step up and start enforcing that would help America and Americans. Can anybody say immigration? Although the number of mass shootings in the United States has fallen in recent years, overall gun violence is also falling and is at lower levels than in previous decades. Obama, however, emphasized that gun deaths in the United States remain higher than in other developed countries in almost every category, including suicides. Well, yeah, he's right, because suicides is the biggest chunk of gun deaths in this country. And quite frankly, if you're dumb enough to put a loaded gun in your mouth and pull the trigger, more power to you. That is Darwin sorting it all out for us. It is a selfish maneuver, suicide is. It is selfish in that you think not of the people you leave behind, but only of yourself. Does that sound a little harsh? Well, tough. And don't call me a grouch for nothing, right? Arcady also said that we have to be very clear that this is not going to solve every violent crime in this country. It's not going to prevent every mass shooting. It's not going to keep every gun out of the hands of a criminal. He said it will potentially save lives and spare families the pain and the extraordinary loss they've suffered as the consequence of a firearm getting into the hands of the wrong people. And again, I say, if we are so worried about human life and human suffering, let's start with Planned Parenthood. Obama's determination to act in his final year of office comes after he pledged last fall to make guns a political issue after a gunman killed 10 and wounded 7 others at a community college in Roseburg, Oregon. The president has made public statements after at least 16 mass shootings during his presidency, including the killing of 14 people in San Bernardino, California. Now, it's funny that he can take the time to set aside primetime television to lecture us about our unalienable right to keep and bear arms. But while on vacation and receiving word about 6 military members, active duty military members that were killed, he couldn't even be bothered to put on a damn necktie to come say 2 minutes worth of something to a mini mob of reporters. And when I say mini mob, that's the little crew that follows him around on vacation. It's smaller than the normal media pool. So our president, and don't misunderstand what he's representing, okay? He's not standing up for the victims. What he's doing is he's using the victims to make political hay and push an agenda item. It's disgusting that he would use these people like that. And it's sad that they are either too vulnerable to know they're being used or too stupid to know that they're being used in this way. They soon will learn about the lies of this administration, just like the family members of those killed in Benghazi learned about the lies of this administration and the insincerity of this administration and the hypocrisy of this administration. Mr. President, if you're so convinced that what you're doing is the right thing, go to Congress, make the pitch, convince the lawmakers to pass a law. This administration has failed to persuade lawmakers to approve tighter legislative controls on gun sales in 2013 in the wake of the December 2012 killings of 20 children at an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut. Now, if you can't make a pitch to pass gun legislation, after that, you aren't qualified to make a pitch to sell a used car. Okay? After that, the president issued a series of 23 executive actions to tighten controls and increase safety preparations, and he added 2 more in subsequent years. That's 25 executive actions. And now he's got to turn around and add 10 more? Because he can't come up with one, not one, and I'll even go so far as to say not even part of one reason why the government should be allowed to violate our constitutional rights as American citizens to keep and bear arms. I thank God every day that he's as pathetic as he is. Can you imagine the absolute drool-dripping, utopian, wet dream society that we would be living in if Obama had control of the House and Senate for 8 years of his administration? You know what? He had it for the first 2, and he absolutely fumbled the ball and did absolutely nothing when he could have done everything. I thank God every day for his ineptitude. The White House was yet moved again after the Umpqua Community College shootings in Roseburg. The administration lawyers spent months reviewing the proposals to ensure that redefinition of what it means to be, quote, engaged in the business, end quote, of selling firearms can withstand legal challenges. And we all know how good liberals are at redefining words to suit their narratives, aren't we? Yes, we're familiar with that. So they say that, who is this? Senator Chris Murphy, the Democrat from Connecticut, said, "The law has long been fuzzy, and the transition of gun sales away from the brick and mortar stores to gun shows and the internet requires the administration to clarify the definition." Hey, moron, it doesn't matter if you're at a gun show or if you run an internet operation. You are still required to carry an FFL, and you are still required to run background checks on people before you put a weapon in their hands. There is already a law for that. So allegedly, by forcing more dealers at gun shows to run background checks, there will be less criminals that buy guns and less illegal guns sold on the streets of America. Let me tell you something. Illegal guns are not sold at gun shows. Okay? Could it happen? Yeah, it could. But the number is so phenomenally small, and they're ignoring where the bulk of the problem is, and that is the illegal guns sold on the streets of America, because what happens is criminals break into people's homes and break into people's businesses, and they steal their guns and then sell them on the streets. Now, we're not going to have even time to finish out, but what we need to know is that every GOP presidential candidate who has spoken about Obama's potential actions has vowed to reverse the executive order if elected president, underscoring the fragility of any initiative that has not won congressional approval. So on Monday in Boone, Iowa, Cruz said, He called the idea illegal and unconstitutional, and it's a theme that's been echoed by several other candidates. On Sunday, Rubio told an audience in New Hampshire that Obama has waged a war on the Constitution. You can pass all the gun laws in the world that you want, said Rubio. It will not stop the criminals. He's absolutely right. The Democratic presidential frontrunner, Hillary Clinton, applauded Obama during a campaign stop in Iowa on Monday, saying she would go even further as president. And White House officials remain confident that public opinion is on their side. Valerie Jarrett said, "We are dedicated to doing everything we can to get guns out of the wrong hands." She doesn't say who that is, just the wrong hands. "We've talked to so many gun owners who don't believe the NRA represents their views." Ms. Jarrett, you're a liar. You've been a liar since you walked into the White House. You were a liar before you walked into the White House, and you will continue to be a liar once you walk out of the White House. And by the way, don't take anything with you like Hillary did if she happens to win, because she's going to want to go through everything that she didn't get the first time when they left the White House to make sure that it goes with her the second time they leave. Okay? But we're not going to let that happen, are we, conservatives? We're going to put a conservative in office. We're not going to have any more of this Democrat BS, any of this socialism BS. Now, folks, it's time to wrap up the hour. We did not get to go into the 2015 Waste Book, but we're going to do that next week because I think that's important and we all need to know about what our government is wasting money on. So, this is your favorite Grouch, thanking you for being here and saying that I will see you next Wednesday night, same time, same station, and you can find me anytime on Twitter. The handle is @TCC_Grouchy. That's @TCC_Grouchy. Thank you for being here. If you like the show, tell your friends. If your friends like the show, you probably need new friends, but you'll all be welcome here anyway, and we'll see you next week. God bless.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. We never back down from a challenge or God gives the rights, we're Americans.
All right, guys, we're ready for our four-season sunroom, and Daddy's gonna get a rec room with refreshments.
Oh, no, we'll be sleeping under the stars.
Mom, what about the one with, the fun?
Nice try, little bro. It's a gym. My gym.
Hey, Grandma's getting her Four Seasons garden room. Weather tight and still like being outdoors.
Maybe a living room. Oh, no, wait, a family hub.
Yeah! No matter what the budget, the season, or the climate, Four Seasons Sunrooms let you and your family enjoy the outdoors inside. Call now to receive your free, no-obligation brochure from the premier manufacturer of sunrooms since 1975.
More reasons for Four Seasons now.
To find out more, call toll-free 800-928-7007. That's 800-928-7007. Call 800-928-7007 today.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.